So here in front of me is a myriad of baits, all of which constitute my cold water mix. First of all, and the base, is good old hemp. Now hemp for me is a particle that I use a lot throughout the year, but I actually increase the amount that I use in cold water in terms of its ratio within the mix. The reason being is it's a very small particle. The oil in it, in terms of its viscosity, is very thin, and that way it's very attractive even in cold water. So we'll give it a couple of handfuls of those. You'll also notice it's kept in the bag. That's a 5 kilo bag. I keep it in the bag to keep the moisture within it, keep the oils, etc. Give it a couple of swirls around, because otherwise all the oil and the liquid sits at the bottom, and obviously the particles can dry out. If the particle dries out, regardless of what particle is, then it can sometimes float. From that, I've also got some maize, so some monster maize. I don't use a great deal, so a couple of small handfuls goes into the mix. You'll notice I've got some boilers here, so all I do is use those within the mix, but I powder them up. So I blitz them up, whether that be at home before coming out using a blender or some sort of crusher machine type thing. Otherwise, I do it on the bank, crumble them up, in they go. Last but not least, in terms of the bait, I use the humble maggot. I also use casters as well, and you'll notice there's some powder there, although that is a little bit of maize meal, which obviously comes from the tackle shop with the maggots. I also like blending up powders or stick mixes and things and putting those within the maggots just to give them a bit of extra flavour. And last but not least, I'll give it all a good dash with a winterized oil. That mix itself, I'll show you quickly now, give it a mix up, is very, very attractive, minimal food, and just crawling with goodness. Everything in there a carp's going to love. It's not going to get filled up. You can use it to pre-bait, you can use it within your fishing session itself, and you're not going to overfeed the fish. Like I've said before, we're just using handfuls of bait, we're not giving them kilos and kilos, but in terms of the mix itself, that is what I use from cold water fishing.